How often do you think about the Oscars? About how many Oscar-winning films there are and how many you've seen? Yeah, there's a few famous Oscar-winning films that we've all seen. The Godfather and Lord of the Rings and Titanic. I'm King of the World, all that stuff. But the Oscars have been running since 1927. There are currently over 1,000 films, feature-length films, which have won an Oscar. How many have you seen? I did the numbers for myself. It's not many, and I consider myself quite a movie buff. So here then is the premise of this podcast. Every episode, I and a rotating cast of 2 guests will randomly select one of the 1,000 films that have won an Oscar, watch it, and talk about it, with the only requirement being that one of the 3 people on each episode has to have never seen the movie before we talk about it. That will get difficult with Star Wars. Please note that our coverage of a movie does not constitute an endorsement of it. My least favorite movie of 2016, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, won an Oscar for Best Makeup, while my favorite movie of 2016, The Handmaiden, wasn't even nominated for anything. Please also note that our coverage of a movie is not a blanket endorsement of any or all of the people involved in it. A lot of terrible people have won Oscars. Kevin Spacey won an Oscar 20 years before he was outed as an abuser, and Roman Polanski won one 20 years after. But every film, good, bad, or in many cases mediocre, that has won an Oscar is an important part of film history just for being there. And they all, on some level, deserve a tiny bit of consideration, even if that consideration ends up concluding that it's garbage. And with all of that in mind, I'm your host, as always, Ellie McConaughey, and with me today is Sam Marchiony.
I can't fathom living in a world where it's possible that Jimmy fucking Kimmel is the angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our time.
And Gillian.
I'm mad as hell, and I don't think I can do anything about it.
Well, that's... And in case you can't figure that one out from the description there, we are here today to talk about Network, the 1976 Sidney Lumet film that won Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Original Screenplay at the 49th Academy Awards. So we're all mad as hell and not going to take it anymore, right? Just to check?
Yeah.
I mean, it's become kind of hollow as it was made. That point was made in the film that whole mantra just it lost meaning throughout the.
Mm-hmm.
And in considering the everything of the current political climate,
We've been screaming this for close to 50 years now?
50 years next year, yeah. And the movie takes place 50 years ago this year.
Literally watched it Wednesday, September the 24th. And there is an aneurysm forming in my brain.
Sam, please don't have an aneurysm.
I did, it's been a while since I saw this one. I couldn't remember if this is the first time that both of you have seen it.
Yeah, first time for me.
As is.
Although, I think part of the thing that ruins this film is if you've seen anything Aaron Sorkin has ever done.
I think it's a lot sharper than anything Aaron Sorkin has ever done, TBH.
Right, but, if you've been inundated with watered-down Aaron Sorkin, all you can see is, oh, this is where he got it from.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Calgren's video about Network right after I watched the movie, and...
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
I was just, struck, on this particular rewatch, how quickly I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore becomes an empty catchphrase in the movie itself. It's not even subtle. They have the studio audience chanting it like it's The Price is Right. I said in the chat when I was watching it, is it possible for a movie to be both completely of its moment and also incredibly timeless? Because I feel like that's Network.
I mean, kind of. Like, we've had 50 years for capitalism to be the bad guy, and 50 years of corporate mergers, and 50 years of forever war, and 50 years of Islamophobia, and take me to the middle of the Brooklyn Bridge.
Sam, you have so much to live for. Don't do it.
It was actually the George Washington Bridge, not the... Wait, was it the George Washington or the Brooklyn? God damn it.
Not 100%. Honestly, I don't care. Partially because I can never not associate the George Washington Bridge with a Sesame Street song that completely robbed it of any dignity. Look it up.
It's so, like, I don't know, there is something, like, extremely dark about it to this day. Like, you know, it's he talks, the kickoff point of the movie is he goes on the air and says, well, I'm gonna kill myself live on the air 2 weeks from now. And, like, you know, I have to imagine that would be a shocking thing to hear. This was 11 years before Bud Dwyer, which, you know, I was inundated with as a wee lass on the internet. Man, I don't know. It's like it's one of those movies where, like, it's a classic, so I was excited to talk about it. But it's also just, like, really heavy, and now I'm sitting here just like, I'll tell Faye Dunaway this. She proposes a soap opera called The Dykes. I would watch that, Faye Dunaway. I would watch that. Put that on the air. There we go. There's a joke. That's something.
Of course you would. It sounds gay, weird, and would probably run for like 20 seasons.
Actually, not for nothing, as long as we're on that, and we're talking about Faye Dunaway, who is extremely good in this movie. I think, given that she talks about her ratings while she's having sex, she should hook up with the chick from Drive My Car, who can only write her scripts immediately after having sex. I think they would get along. No one but me has seen Drive My Car. Right.
I have not seen Drive My Car.
Alright, I'll roll it up. I'll force roll it or something. I don't know.
You know how to make me do it.
I don't... Is it? It has to be a degree something. It is a Japanese film, though.
It will be something, I promise you.
Yeah, so as long as we're talking about first time through the movie, how was it first timers? Like, tell me about your... I mean, like, it's a problem because the speech is, like, reference to death, but, like, how do you feel about the movie, TBH?
I expected Howard to be in more of the movie, to be TBH.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it is the point that he is just being puppeted around by the network executives.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the scene with names.
The CEO?
Yes.
Big bad CEO who is like, capitalism is the only true system of nature. And I'm like, motherfucker, what do you think natives and indigenous people did?
Ned Beatty. Like that one scene in Better Call Saul. Yeah, that one. Which he's like, hey, I'm literally force-feeding words into your mouth because you are the figurehead.
I was struck on this particular watch through because I first watched it, like, I was a lot younger when I first watched it, and I was struck by, like, how conscious the movie makes you of the fact that he's, like, setting up the room to deliver this incredibly intense speech, and how, like, how do I put this? I don't know, like, it's a good speech. He's very good in it. I don't know if he's the shortest performance ever nominated for an Oscar. I think Beatrice Straight in this movie is the shortest supporting actress that ever won an Oscar. Mm-hmm. She's only in, like, 4 minutes of the film.
Sounds about right.
One scene wonder. I think she, like, defines the category of one scene wonder.
Mm-hmm. And she's good in that scene. Like, it's an incredibly well acted movie. I'm not even gonna front about that particular one.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen any of the other actresses, any of the other performances that were nominated for Best Supporting Actress that year. I mainly know Taxi Driver by the reputation of that movie that kind of ended up inspiring Ronald Reagan getting shot.
Mm-hmm. I actually think this is one of my more heavily watched years in terms of the Oscars. I've obviously seen this one. I've seen Rocky.
I've seen Carrie.
I've seen Carrie. I've seen All the President's Men. I've not seen either of the documentary or the foreign. Oh, that's right. A Star is Born. Best original song. Still absolute minefield. Fucking Star is Born.
Literally, I do not think I have watched any one of these movies all the way through except now for Network.
Well, I'm glad I could get you there. I think it's quite good.
Also, if I had a nickel for every movie this Oscar season that was nominated that had a young Jodie Foster, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot.
But it is weird it happened twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was before Jodie Foster was standard Academy bait.
Mm-hmm.
And also long before we knew she was gay.
Woo.
Yep.
Okay, hang on. Jodie Foster is half of the Dykes. Who's the other half?
God, 70s and 80s.
Don't you dare say Gillian Anderson.
She's not famous yet. She won't be. I mean, yes, but she won't. She's too young for it. I'm trying to think of famous lesbian actresses who are like.
Jodie Foster was a teenager in the 70s.
That's true. I mean, now I can't think of anyone but Gillian Anderson. Damn it.
I mean, I think you were going to get there eventually anyway, but...
I always get to Gillian Anderson.
Hi. Sorry.
Wrong Gillian.
I know, but she is my namesake. My folks were watching the X-Files and she's like, damn, that's the hottest woman I've ever seen. If we have a girl, we're naming her after.
Please tell your parents I have so much respect for them.
I don't think they have much respect for you because... Sorry.
No, that's fair. You shouldn't have any respect for me.
Yeah.
What I am going to say is that it's kind of really hard for me to get engaged with this movie because, not to say something I'm way too white to say, but all these crackers look the same to me. I cannot tell William Holden from Peter Finch, from Robert Duvall, from Ned Beatty, from Daryl Hickman, or... I'm not even sure if these are actual names.
Are you sure they're not? They might just be, that one Japanese baseball game where they have fake American player.
Oh, those names are so good. Look them up, audience and fellow cast members. Sleeve McDykel is a particularly.
So that's who the other lesbian is, Sleeve McDykel.
Sleeve McDykel. God, you're derailing my train of thought. No, like there are non-white actors in it. I do like the sort of like, I don't want to call it a reveal, but like the fact that the supposedly leftist revolutionaries are just like absolute sellouts too. I don't know. It's a very cynical movie about everything in the world, but especially TV. I don't know how else to put it other than like just high key, incredibly cynical. It opens with people like with the main 2 characters talking about how well, why not suicides on live TV? Why not executions? And like it feels like back then that was probably intended to be a very shocking statement. Why not executions on live TV? And now there's like people just say that.
It's on our phones.
Yeah,
it's on our phones all the time. We all watched George Floyd get murdered.
We all watched George Floyd get murdered. I was like 16 the first time I saw Bud Dwyer's suicide on the internet. It's like, I don't know. That's what sort of makes it like this weird mix of it's a very 1976 movie, which was a very, I don't know, it was a bad time for America in that particular moment. Gerald Ford was president at that point, and if you want to know how that wound up happening, Gerald Ford is the only president in U.S. history who was elected neither president nor vice president. He got in there because everyone ahead of him in line was too corrupt.
Don't blame me, I'm from Massachusetts!
Well, you tried so hard, Massachusetts. The one state that voted a decent way in that fucking election.
I actually knew the reference when they're doing that opening and they mentioned that there were 2 assassination attempts on Ford within like 2 weeks of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking wild because one of them is Lynette Squeaky Fromm, who was one of the Manson family and thought that if she killed Gerald Ford, Charlie Manson would get to be at her trial and give a speech and basically convert everybody to Helter Skelter. And the other was Sarah Jane Moore. And if I remember what my friend Heather said when we were doing Stephen Sondheim's Assassins together, it's that Sarah Jane Moore wanted to kill Ford so that Nelson Rockefeller would have to become president because she thought Nelson Rockefeller was so unbelievably worse that he would inspire the uprising that we needed to topple capitalism once and for all. I'm like, wild.
Insane shit. That's where the country was at in the 70s.
Yeah, and by all means, listeners, fact check me on that because I did Assassins back in 2017.
Approximately a million years ago. I don't know, like, I feel like I keep wanting to cover movies from the 70s.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Sarah Jane Moore died September 24th, 2025.
Rip.
That for context listeners, since I know this episode isn't coming out until mid-October, we are recording this on September 25th, 2025, which makes it a distressingly timely episode for us. I mean, like, I don't know, like, I feel like everything we see about the network. What I was going to say is that, like, I love covering movies from the 70s, partially because the 70s has a reputation in film circles as being, like, the last real golden age of movies. I don't know if I always buy that, but it's a compelling argument. You know, there's this. I mean, look at the Oscars this year. The Oscars this year is stone cold classics, wall to wall. You know, and then movies get a lot more corporatized. The studio system takes back control in the 80s, but
Reagan!
And also, like, the failure of Heaven's Gate and One from the Heart were big elements in there. Sorry, Francis, you whiffed on that one. But I'm also just, like, fascinated by the 70s as a period of American history because, like, it's kind of gotten so mythologized. I like seeing it as it actually was being created by people who were living there. You know what I mean? That's why I wanted to cover Marjo. That's why I was willing to cover Breaking Away. You know, just movies by people who were actually living in the 70s, not mythologizing it 40 years later. Anyway.
Fascinating that you bring up Marjo because of all the religious
Mm-hmm.
imagery that comes from Beale's proselytizing or ravings of the mad prophet. I mean, were you gonna talk about Billy Graham or?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to talk about.
Yeah! You got Billy Graham, 700 Club.
This was around the time the 700 Club was getting started. In fact, I have in my notes that, like, the way they describe the network, it kind of sounds like they're satirizing Fox before Fox existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in some ways, the Howard Beale show almost feels like, you know, the Colbert Report or something.
It strikes me. One of the things that sort of struck me about watching it again as a 35-year-old transgender woman as opposed to a 22-year-old depressed boy in air quotes, it strikes me upon further watches how what the vibe I get from that Howard Beale show in the second half of the movie is that Howard is the only one who's not in on the joke. Like, everyone else is, like, totally aware of how fucking phony the whole thing is, and Howard is just unstable enough that he never gloms on to how phony, how fake the whole thing is.
Yeah, I mean, the implication is that this is all he has at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I would say, fucking depressing, except I crave external validation deeply, which is why I put my opinions out into the ether on a podcast.
Fair.
That, like, 5 of my friends listen to.
That is a glass house in which I cannot throw a single stone. So, love you, Sam.
Love you too.
I don't know, like, when you take a step outside of the satire angle and just like look at the actual plot of the film, the actual plot of the film is a bunch of people see a man in the middle of what is a fairly clear, elongated mental health crisis, and everyone is just going, okay, how can I use him for my ends?
Was Howard Beale a lolcow?
Yeah, that's like, yeah, that's where we sort of wound up on that. I think that it's an incredible, I don't want to call it a twist, but an incredible take on the story that the CEO is 100% down for him to lose money and sound like a fucking madman so long as he spouts the insane shit that he wants him to spout. Honestly, that's kind of prefiguring the whole like right-wing media complex where they write books that no one actually reads, but they buy them up by bulk to slap them on the bestseller list. I don't know. It feels prescient to me, even if it's not right about the specific details. But what do I know?
I mean, I'm gonna offer a potentially hot take. Part of me wonders if actually it would have made more sense to put Howard Beale, Peter Finch, in the supporting actor category, because the movie doesn't really feel like his story, you know? Like, I would say a lot more of the plot would argue that Diana Christensen is the protagonist, which is different from the hero. Like, Diana is the one who I would argue is moving the action forward far more. She is the one who is making shit happen. She's also the one who's getting, like, real character development, even if it is just an extended fall from grace. Look upon the working woman and the destruction she hath wrought upon herself. Lo, she is alone and sad, and her vagina is surely withering up and dying.
But it isn't withering up and dying because she's home wrecking in the
She is fucking William Holden in this movie.
Yeah, but she's not doing it within the confines of marriage to make babies.
Ah, that's the kicker.
That's true. I don't know. Like there is like I sort of like take a lot of there's a couple of moments where like the way they talk about the business does make it feel very, I don't want to say cult like, more like okay, let me find my notes because there's a line that I wrote down that like kind of hit me in a weird way. Okay, so like Hackett is a character who is not complicated. He mostly exists to be shitty to everyone around him all the time, which, you know, if you can imagine Hackett walking through the hallways of his building listening to Walking on Sunshine with a completely blank face.
Nope, not going back there. Not going back there.
I love you, Sam. But he has a line right after Howard has basically like accidentally, or not accidentally, intentionally, but like without knowing it would piss off his bosses, shotgunned a merger that they wanted to do. Hackett says, "I'm a man without a corporation," in a way that makes it sound like he's saying, "I'm a knight without a lord." You know, he treats it like there's a degree of fealty to it. And I don't know, like that is so telling about how the people who are high enough up on the chain, how willing they are to utterly obliterate themselves at this particular altar. And I think that Diana is unfortunately our representation of that in the movie. She is the one who is becoming a monster to make a few more bucks.
Yeah, but it's fine because she's self-aware. Look, she's introduced herself as a heartless capitalist to the Ecumenical Liberation Army or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that as a concept. The whole like difference between the Ecumenical Liberation Army and the, what's the other one? The I think it's just the Communist Party, and it turns out they're just the same organization with different faces. I don't know, like it. Part of the reason why it feels so cynical is because I feel like the core of the movie is, you know, Howard got tired of bullshit, but that's all anyone else has. Even William Holden's character Max is ultimately just like kind of full of shit.
Yeah.
As to why I do think you're kind of right that I might have put Howard in supporting actor. It's interesting because supporting actor is the only one Network didn't win, but also it has 2 Best Actor nominees: Peter Finch, who won for playing Howard, and William Holden, who lost for playing Max Schumacher. It's, I don't know, like maybe they could have gone with 2 supporting actors and he could have gone head to head with Ned Beatty. Who knows? Who knows what choices they made and why?
Yeah. I mean, I think that part of it might have been Peter Finch passing away, but I also know that there was a play version that Bryan Cranston won a Tony for, playing Howard Beale. He won the Best Leading Actor in a Play Tony for it.
He also won the Olivier
Yep.
when it was across the pond the year earlier.
And, like, from what I understand, the play follows the movie pretty thoroughly. I don't know if there are any deviations of any kind.
I pulled up the script a bit ago to compare contrast because I have a friend who saw it on Broadway. I have not contacted them about it, but I remember that they liked it and that there was a lot of mixed media, and also Ivo Van Hove directed, and I know.
So the Wikipedia says that, like, Howard gives a post-mortem monologue about the destructive nature of absolute beliefs and urging the audience to exercise compassion and connection. I'm like, gee, would have loved to see that maybe, like, I don't know, filmed for PBS in a way that people could actually access it if they don't have the money to drop on $300 Broadway tickets.
Yeah, that would be nice. Ah.
Thank God for Aurora Spider-Woman.
The bootlegging will continue until accessibility improves.
I mean, who's Aurora Spider-Woman? I that's gonna be coming out later this October, and J-Lo's gonna be in it, and almost all the songs are just gonna be J-Lo's music.
J-Lo really wants an Oscar, is the point.
J-Lo does really want an Oscar.
Hey, Diego Luna might get an Oscar.
I think my point I was like circling around there. I don't know, like comes out and gives a speech. I think part of what kind of like I know that that's kind of a convention of the theatrical medium, but I don't know. I think that like I think that Network is a movie that is very tight, or like maybe not tight isn't the word. It sticks in what it wants to do. Like the thought that I had is they have the scene where Howard tells everyone to go out of your window and shout out, "I'm as mad as hell and I can't take it anymore. I'm not going to take it anymore." And which, mood. But I feel like a weaker movie would have tried to do a montage of people around the country doing that. But this movie lets a phone call that Diana gets and Max seeing it out of his window in New York stand in for that. And I feel like, standing there at the end of the movie and having it explain the theme to you, I don't know. That's not. I don't know. I think that the ending they have is very strong because it just sort of like sucks to suck, buddy. Movie's over.
Life goes on.
At the end of it all, it kind of feels like we've actually just been watching like a documentary or a docudrama because that's how the narration is used.
Mm-hmm.
Life goes on, and the death of Howard Beale will just be yesterday's news, and there's gonna be a new thing to clout chase, and it's a vicious cycle that goes on and 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 on.
Mm-hmm.
No way to prevent this, says only country in the world where this happens regularly.
Thoughts? I mean, Christine Chubbuck was 2 years before this.
Yeah.
That's sort of actually kind of my point. Like it has very sparing narration, mostly used just to like it uses its narration at the very, very beginning to be like, we're not doing a flashback to Howard Beale younger. We're just giving you the information you need, and we are moving. And I think it does it at another point when like they just need to explain like, yeah, his ratings are floundering because he's switched over to capitalism is perfect, and you need to believe in it no matter what, which is a shit ass philosophy. Man, what do we think I do find it extremely interesting that like that Howard finally gets reprimanded the first time his speeches switch over from like aimless anger to a specific political point.
I mean, I don't know that the movie really has Howard take like a full affiliation with any political party.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we get the notion that he is like anti Saudi Arabia, but that was kind of true of everybody in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
We were already hardcore on the Islamophobia, the Orientalism, the fear mongering of anything that was not white Western people.
Yeah, I think that regardless of whatever his political affiliations were before all of this started, you know, not to bring it back to a a recent political event. No, I am actually going somewhere with this. The kind of person who either commits an act of mass violence or does something like shoot themselves on live TV either has a specific coherent reason for doing so, which is very rare and usually requires like you being activated and directed by a larger force. Or, you know, it's like the same thing with like Squeaky Fromme or what was the name of the other woman?
Sarah
Sarah
Jane
Jane
Moore.
Moore.
Sarah Jane Moore. Yeah. Your political motivations are hard to nail down because you're in the middle of a prolonged psychological crisis and you don't really have any coherent enough ideology in the middle of that to have a coherent reason for doing what you're doing.
Sometimes you want to assassinate a president for clout. See? Charles Guiteau.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you want to do it because you think the actress from Taxi Driver will notice you.
And then you later both turn out to be gay.
Yep.
Yep.
And like, I'm not saying that people who commit political assassinations for an actual specific reason without being activated by it by a larger group don't exist. We all remember Shinzo Abe, most successful political assassination in history, frankly. It's not to get derailed. Oh man, derailed on my podcast. What would that be like? But I do find it extremely funny how that that dude shot Shinzo Abe, and the entire Japanese government went, "No, wait, he's got a point." But yeah, I don't think Howard has a coherent ideology. I think that like not getting him nailed down to partisanship. I think that having him be specifically political one way or the other would make the movie have less teeth. You know, he just has aimless, incoherent anger that he just wants to direct in whatever way he can.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that does kind of articulate a point of you have to channel the anger into something, which I guess is why Kathleen Cronkite is there. Kathy Cronkite.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one, Walter Cronkite's daughter, who is playing the not Patty Hearst girl.
Mm.
And honestly, her appearance would be really funny if it weren't for the fact that she's a white girl screaming at people of color to forget the capitalist pigs who have corrupted their sacred mission.
The whole segment with the Mao Zedong hour is, I don't know, that is a very 70s thing, both the context of the show and like the back and forth joke about the different liberation fronts. There's a joke like that in Life of Brian too, if anyone besides me has seen that movie.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen it. I don't think Life of Brian is really the Python's best work, but
Disagree, but okay. We're not talking about Life of Brian. We're not talking about Life of Brian. No, but there's a joke in there about, you know, the People's Front of Judea versus the Judean People's Front, which was a specific joke about the intersectarian violence in a lot of leftist organizations at the time. That might have actually been a specifically Palestinian People's Front. I can't remember. I'm not actually up on that particular subject as much as I want to be. Free Palestine.
it's still going on. Like, I left Star Wars Facebook groups because they got just so tanky, and it was less about like Star Wars shit posting through political lenses and more just like full on discussions of political theory. And I'm like, so we're just skipping over the shit posting, which was the catharsis I got out of this.
I mean, it's that joke from The Simpsons, leftists and anarchists are natural enemies, just like leftists and communists, and leftists and socialists, and leftists and leftists. Damn leftists, they ruined leftism. We all have extremely niche political ideologies, and it's much easier to get mad at each other about it than it is to get mad at the right wing who want us all dead anyway. And I'm bummed out. Why did I watch this? Why did I pick this movie again?
I don't know, what were the other options?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't write down what else I rolled. I do. I mean, like, I not to spoil my opinion or anything. I do love this movie a lot. I think it appeals to the part of my nature that also likes, like, I don't know, like Tragedy Girls or Ingrid Goes West. I like movies that are just like viciously, viciously, viciously cynical about everything and everyone all the time. They can be a bummer though.
Yeah, I think what it is that I do kind of prefer media that, if not depicting a solution, then posits a solution, posits like actual change and steps that could be taken, stuff that articulates shit's fucked, but there is a clear and distinct way that we can solve it. That was one of the benefits of early stage Adam Ruins Everything, where he'd spend the first 20 minutes of the episode telling you why something sucked and then explain, actually, there is something working to help with this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the most successful, or maybe not the most successful, but one of the most successful leftist political commentators right now is John Oliver, who, I know that people can get weird about him either way. I'm not interested in that, and I don't have time for it. But the two things that I think he has that make him very successful are, one, he does try to be funny during all of his like examinations of an issue, and two, every single segment he does, like the longer segments that end up uploaded to YouTube, end with, well, what can we do? And I think that the closest network, I mean, like, network kind of posits a solution in the, if you are actually mad about this issue, organize about it, which is what Howard does to kill the merger. To be clear, you can be against the Saudi Arabian government without being Islamophobic about it. Those are different things, people. Just stop being weird.
True, but I think the movie doesn't know that.
The movie doesn't know that. And also, like, I don't know, the 70s were, unlike every other era of America, you'll be surprised to find out the 70s were deeply racist.
I mean, another way to put it is that at one point, Vanessa Redgrave was put forward to play the role of Diana.
Mm-hmm.
And Patty Chayefsky did not want to have her for one very specific reason: Free Palestine.
Anyway. And, like, the 70s were specifically racist against the Middle East, especially during the energy crisis, which is
bad, fake, or not fake, but like artificially created.
Artificially created. I don't want to go into the late 70s and the whole nightmare nonsense that was. There is a lot of arguments to be made that the late 70s, in particular the way the right wing reacted to the post Watergate period, where they all basically decided, man, this consequences for the horrible things we've done thing sucks. Let's make sure we never see those again.
That's how we got Fox News.
That is exactly how we got Fox News. It was born in this era of Roger Stone being extremely upset that he didn't have a news media to say, no, Nixon is totally innocent.
Jimmy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Jimmy Carter.
But that is an extremely long and extremely complicated subject all on its own. If you want to know more, I'd like to recommend, let me see if I can pull up the name of the author. Rick Perlstein wrote a book called Reaganland about the right-wing turn in the late 70s. It's extremely good. Advance warning on two things. One, it's a huge downer. Two, it's 1,100 pages long. Enjoy that. Go watch. Go read it. There's your homework, podcast listeners. But like that is the sort of like first thing it posits as a solution to this: organize. And the second thing it posits is like you can't actually reform this from the inside. You can't actually stay pure. You have to step out, which is what Max does in the third act. And there's a little bit of misogyny inherent in that too, because the way it's framed. But you can't have everything.
I was thinking about this sometime after I saw the network yesterday, and I think with the amount of monologues and the amount of acting wins it got, mainly because of how I was like, could this? There's the cynical part of me that's like, I mean, Oscar bait's always existed, but I'm like, it's a mess. It's got a message. It's a decent message, but it just kind of feels like Oscar bait.
It feels like Oscar bait, but I still maintain it's Aaron Sorkin. Like, this is stuff that if Network made the blueprint, Sorkin mass distributed it.
So the specific format of the Oscar bait has in fact always existed. I don't know. The 70s are generally considered a better time for it because like the 70s was when we had more independent film being big hits. This was not for a huge downer of a movie that consists primarily of people talking in rooms. It did gross like 7 times its budget. So, movies like this could actually make money back then. Remember when they used to make movies for adults? Anyway, we're not doing that conversation either.
I don't really remember, because remember, the best picture the year I was born was fucking Braveheart.
I'm gonna say a sentence and not I am David Lynching this sentence. I will not elaborate on any level, no matter how much you ask me. No, Braveheart's a movie for teenagers. The point I was making.
Yeah, but I have not seen it, but I get it. It's like kind of it appears to be like a lot of there's war, there's machismo that
It's a fucking power fantasy of, oh yes, I'm the one true hero of Scotland, and I banged Queen Isabella, the she-wolf of France, even though shouldn't have been like a child at this point in time. And I'm wearing historically inaccurate war paint, and I'm yelling, freedom!
That is, you know what? It turns out I don't need to elaborate on it because, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It is the 300ification of Scottish history, and it exists primarily for your history teacher to come in hungover and is like, okay, we're watching a movie that I can pretend is historically related.
See also Gladiator?
Oh, don't get me started.
Do I want to argue the Gladiators no, Gladiators also for teenagers.
Power fantasy.
Once the boomers started really making movies, we just ended up in a place where they're just living out their power fantasies.
That was Best Picture winner year I was.
I kind of feel like the two Ridley Scott historical adaptations that weren't kind of for teenagers, or not adaptations, historical movies that weren't kind of for teenagers, were Kingdom of Heaven, the director's cut, not the theatrical cut, and The Last Duel.
Ugh.
Neither of which people besides me actually like. I am a Last Duel defender. I will also not elaborate.
This implies Anonymous is for teenage. Wait.
No, that was Roland Emmerich, not Ridley Scott.
Oh.
Different bastardization of history.
I heard there's an R name. It says historically inaccurate. Same difference.
I don't love everything Ridley Scott makes. I think he whiffs about as often as he hits, but he's got a better average than Roland Emmerich. Two semi-decent movies. This ends the list. We are so far off topic here. I'm trying to remember what on earth my original point was before we got off on Braveheart.
Movies for adults.
We were talking about how Network is a movie that's okay with being a bummer. And that is part of what makes it adult.
Right, and like that, yeah, I feel like I feel like at some point, well, actually, Braveheart's a really good example of what I'm talking about here, because like I feel like at some point people started conflating rating with movie for adults, and I don't think that's accurate at all. You know, Deadpool and Wolverine is rated R. That is a movie for teenagers. Oh, but teenagers can't. It's a movie for teenagers. I'm sorry, and that's not a moral judgment. It is a statement of its tone and intent. Conclave is rated PG. That is a movie for adults. That is a movie that wants an adult audience. When I went to see it, the audience was primarily 50 plus. It's like going to see Carol all over again, except no one went Harold, they're lesbians. Harold, he's intersex. Spoiler for Conclave, I guess.
Good for him.
I mean, shit, I remember my first R-rated movie was The King's Speech. And even that kind of feels like a fucking movie for teenagers, because the biggest thing I came out of it remembering was Colin Firth yelling "fuck" a bunch.
That's because The King's Speech is really boring. We'll talk about it someday. My first R-rated movie was...
Oh my god, a Tom Hooper movie being boring?
The devil, you say?
I'm shocked. This is my shocked face. You can see this because podcasts are infamously a visual medium, much like Network, 1970s. Sorry.
I mean, like, Tom Hooper, I feel like given his failings as a director, Tom Hooper movies should be at least interesting. They never are, except Cats.
But that's interesting for a completely different reason.
Precisely. The first R-rated movie I ever saw was Last the Mohicans, which is a good comparison point as a historical action movie that is in fact for adults, and also contains a lot of Daniel Day-Lewis running around with his shirt open.
I'm sure that was great for some people.
You know, I'm more into women than I am into men, but Daniel Day-Lewis in The Last Mohicans, he can get it. He can get it. Look him up now. Thank me later.
I'm doing it.
There goes Gillian. We are on. So like, we are getting back on topic. So like, the concept of the Oscar bait, I feel like it really coalesced.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
I don't see why. I can kind of, in theory, I can get the appeal of Daniel Day-Lewis with his shirt.
Aren't you a lesbian?
I'm figuring things out.
Fair enough. We give people space to figure them out.
I'd say like Bipan with a female lead, but that's time for another quarterly sexuality crisis.
Same hat.
You're working with a 50 percentile in the lesbian tracking. I don't know TV terminology. This movie has so much TV terminology. I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? I don't speak television.
No, we only speak movies here. Your podcast is actually the one that covers movies. No. Finishing my point. I've been trying to finish the point for 10 minutes. The concept of the Oscar bait, I feel like, really coalesced in like the late 80s, early 90s around
Weinstein.
Driving Miss Daisy and Rain Man in particular, which are terrible movies. We'll cover them one day. I'm not interested in talking about them right now. And they especially became the main format for Oscar movies, and here we're going there with Weinstein's Oscar, for your consideration campaigns of attrition that he started waging in like the late 90s. And so like, I'm not going to say it's not Oscar bait, but part of me almost feels like it's a little bit of a Seinfeld is unfunny situation there. It feels like Oscar bait because people kind of took the skeleton of what this movie is and tried to build Oscar movies out of it.
So it's Oscar bait in the same way that it's Aaron Sorkin bait.
Yeah, and in both cases I feel like Enemy for Life, Aaron Sorkin, I don't think I need to explain my feelings on him anymore, but I feel like Aaron Sorkin, how do I put this that is sufficiently mean? I feel like Patty Chayefsky could write an Aaron Sorkin movie. Aaron Sorkin could never in a million years write this movie.
He's tried.
He would blink every time it required him to be kind of cynical.
Literally just ripped off the Mad as Hell speech for Studio 60.
Well, that's swell, Sam, but your little brother is standing in the middle of Afghanistan.
Fuck you. My little brother's in Connecticut.
That's where I am. I'm sorry. Studio 60 is
Bad.
by some metrics, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Do you like it? No. But I think about it literally all the time. My original idea for a podcast was an episode by episode podcast on Studio 60.
But that would have only lasted 10 episodes, right?
24.
Jesus fucking Christ.
They really wanted that one to succeed. It honestly probably would have if they hadn't, for reasons that make sense only to Aaron Sorkin, been so fucking expensive. And you did it. You got me talking about Aaron Sorkin. I mean, he is definitely about to like break out in this era. A Few Good Men is what, like 5 years, 10 years away,
20-ish.
20.
It's 90. No, wait. The play is 89. The movie's 92.
Yeah, it's an Aaron Sorkin joint, right? Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Do I want to? I feel like I shouldn't call them joints.
He has not earned that right.
It was 0 for 4 in Oscar nominations, so...
Those were the days.
An Aaron Sorkin crime? No, he also doesn't deserve that one. I feel like if Mr. Waters listens to this podcast, I feel like he'll want to call all his movies that instead. A John Waters crime. When's he gonna win an Oscar?
When was the last movie he made?
I want to say...
Cecil B. DeMented? Or...
I want to say like 15, 20 years ago.
When was that?
Yeah, the Academy's never gonna fucking award John Waters anything. John Waters is too weird.
Yeah, David Lynch died without ever getting an Oscar, so John Waters doesn't stand a chance. Bummer. God, I would swear I had more talking points. We got very far off topic there for a bit.
The point is, listener, the Oscars are bullshit. Always have been.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna front. Like, I think they got it reasonably right this year, but like the Oscars are always kind of bullshit. They're all industry politics. Did Peter Finch deserve to win Best Actor? Who knows? He won because he died. And there was no Anthony Hopkins to give it to instead.
They gave it to Heath Ledger, and he died.
Yeah, because there's no Anthony Hopkins nominated that year.
Wait.
So, like, my hot take is that Anthony Hopkins won because Gary Oldman got knocked out of contention because who the fuck cared about Mank?
I think that Anthony Hopkins, not to be... So, we all miss Chadwick Boseman. He was extremely good in that movie. I am as shocked as anyone he didn't win. We will talk about it more someday, because I think it did win something.
Hair and makeup, I believe.
Or we talk about The Father, who knows. But you can tell... This is how you know the Oscars aren't actually rigged, because they clearly set up to have Chadwick Boseman win, and then do, like, a big moving tribute to him over the ending. And then, nope, Anthony Hopkins wins, because he is genuinely excellent in that movie. Anthony Hopkins is. Like, out of the context of Chadwick Boseman's death, it is not a bad win. But then, like, he won, and it's COVID, so he's not there, and he lives in England and is 90 years old, so he went to bed 3 hours ago, so they just kind of have to quietly stop the show. Like, okay.
Cut the feed! Cut the feed!
He woke up the next morning like that bit in Thor Ragnarok. Oh, shit! Yeah, but that's how you know the Oscars aren't rigged, because, you know, if they were, either that wouldn't have happened, or, you know, they'd have found a way to swap envelopes after the Will Smith unpleasantness.
Speaking of swapping envelopes, something Moonlight, something La La, something overused joke about a...
Something Faye Dunaway, the star of Network 1976. We got it back.
Thank you, Sam.
We're back on Faye Dunaway. Okay, so Faye Dunaway, very good in this movie. Yes.
Yes.
Beatrice Straight, is that okay? Is that a controversial win to either of you? Curious. I'm actually curious.
I might just, personal bias, I might have given it to Piper Laurie because
Did you like Carrie a lot?
I was raised religious. I have mommy issues and was raised religious. Of course I love Carrie.
Fair.
Sorry.
I mean, imagine if Jodie Foster had won and then John Hinckley Jr. does what he does, and the Academy has to be like,
and maybe he succeed.
are we responsible for this?
What if he succeeded for legal reasons in Minecraft, of course?
If you get me pulled off fucking YouTube, Gillian,
in Minecraft. I did say in Minecraft.
they know what that means now.
In Roblox. For all legal reasons.
You can't interpret that as a threat, FBI. Ronald Reagan has been dead for 20 years of natural-ish causes.
And Minecraft didn't exist in the 80s. And you can't kill people in Pong. So, I promised myself that I wasn't going to be a bit machine, but...
Look, we are this podcast is a bit machine. To let you in on a secret, listeners, if any of you think that I have some deeper, complicated insight into movies, no, I just kind of say what interests me about a movie and make jokes until we hit a runtime.
Honestly, one could argue that this movie is at least somewhat prophetic of the rise of Reagan. Like,
very much so.
76, unfortunately, the country is aching for a charismatic naming of names to huac fucking piece of shit actor to come in and give all the corporations what they want.
I mean, it's kind of also prophetic to the rise of Trump. He doesn't have coherent politics. He doesn't have any actual solutions to anything. He's just got endless, aimless anger about the state of the world, and people respond to that, and it very quickly gets corporatized and turned to corporate interests. Their only mistake was making the corporate interests at the end boring. Honestly, in that sense, it's almost kind of like innocent, that the CEO would be so devoted to his particular brand of his ideology that he would be willing to sacrifice the show to it rather than just find a way to wrap that message around some racism as they do now.
0 out of 10, completely unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like, let's be clear, Bob Iger did not put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air because he deeply agrees with Jimmy Kimmel's point of view. He put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air because he was losing fucking money over it.
And he also didn't take him off the air because he was deeply offended by anything Kimmel said. He did it because he was worried he was going to lose fucking money over it. The actual innocent thing about it is this guy is so devoted to the ideology of capitalism that he's willing to lose money over it, when the actual ideology of capitalism would instruct him to never lose money over it.
There is only one holistic system of systems, one vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars, petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rins, rubles, pounds, and shekels.
I'm surprised you have meddled with the primal forces of nature and you will atone hasn't become a meme in the same way I'm as mad as hell has. It's not only a good line, it is an insanely good line read.
I think it's because you have to have any kind of power to put the proper oomph behind it. Like, you can't imagine a teenager saying that at the end of a Tumblr post and it has any kind of impact.
Yeah.
You can, but then people will make fun of it for being Tumblr pros and being, like, overly wordy for the sake of grandiose.
We call it Sephiroth posting now.
Oh. Yes.
Nope, not gonna ask.
Final Fantasy joke.
That is also why Bob Odenkirk uses it in that one episode of Better Call Saul, because nobody reacts.
It's interesting that we see that, like, this movie is usually a movie that is very detached from someone's point of view. Like, it is usually distant from the characters, lets you see them all with each other. It's extremely interesting that the vast majority of the scene with Ned Beatty, with the CEO, the vast majority of that is from Howard's point of view.
Yep.
It puts you into this, like, scared, deranged man slowly being like, I don't want to say brainwashed, but like being convinced that this is what he needs to do instead.
Being 1984
Yeah, because he's on television.
dummy. I do have I love it when they take a thing that was said earlier and turn it back on you. Like, it's why I will never not be gagging in the Revenge of the Sith. He's too dangerous to be left alive repetition. But like, when it's the bad guy using it, it's like, oh, that hurts. Because you're twisting, I have a platform and I have something to say and I'm trying to make an impact in the world of, you have a platform and therefore you are going to say what we want you to say.
And like, I think that more than anyone in the movie, I think that, our ultimate salesman here understands you can't tell Howard to say this. Everyone keeps trying to do that and it keeps whiffing. You have to convince him this is the thing you should say. Guess that's why he's at the top.
Yeah.
Movie's kind of a downer, huh?
Yeah, do we think... No, I'm not gonna go into conspiracy theories of whether or not he was okay with Howard being assassinated.
Made for good television.
Yep. Keeps you in the news cycle.
But for how long? That is the...
Long enough to get the next story. And the next. And the next. God, 24-hour news cycle.
I quite like the footage of the people getting into the stage, very calmly over the audio of them sort of like chatting about how can we not only kill this guy, but get it to benefit us the most.
Use the commies, of course, so they could to kill him.
Yeah. That having been said, looking at my notes for that section, I do want to note that I have written down, "There's nothing left in you I can live with" is a brutal line, but I also have written down, "I'm sorry I impugned your cocksmanship."
Yeah, that was absolutely one of the lines where I'm like, yeah, that's something Sorkin was picking up, because that whole concept of like, do this one really wordy phrase that's idiosyncratic and just keep repeating it, like angry prophet raging against the hypocrisy of our times, and say that like 5 times in the same scene.
It's a very influential film. I feel like the wrong parts of it became influential, as is often the case. Sam, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I am the host of 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. This film will probably show up there someday, as will many, many other films. We have covered everything from silent films starring the Comanche and Kiowa nations to lesbian period dramas from South Korea and any other weird gay shit Ellie tries and succeeds at making me watch.
Love you, Sam.
Drive My Car's a degree 5. I checked earlier in recording, so...
Congratulations. And you can find me on social media at Demisem, that's DEMISEMME, and Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Gillian, do you have any weird gay shit you'd like to plug?
I don't think my socials have weird gay shit quite yet, but I am Cutie Puppy Fire on most of the socials. I post there. Sometimes they're mad ravings of the political specter, but most of the times it's just stale joke formats and reblogging, reposting, retweeting, whatever. Yeah. Spay and neuter your pets. Free Palestine. Be gay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you don't have any weird gay shit on your socials, you need to fix that immediately. It's a real problem. It goes for all of you listeners. As always, you can find me, Ellie, on Tumblr at Football in Tuxedos with dashes between the words. You can find me on Blue Sky, Medium, and Letterboxd at LSR42. And you can find this podcast on Blue Sky at Biggest Night Pod. We are available on both Spotify and YouTube. And if you follow us on YouTube, be sure to give us a subscribe, maybe like and comment on the video so that you can tell me which parts you like and which parts you don't. And thanks to both Sam and Gillian for coming out. I hope this movie didn't bum you out too much. But, you know, if this movie was scary to you, it is the middle of the spooky season. And for our next episode, which if you're looking at a calendar is right before Halloween, we decided to get a little bit spookier with you. We are going back to an earlier time period. Is it the 40s or 50s? I don't want to say it's the 40s. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We're going to be talking about Black Narcissus. I'm real excited to talk about Black Narcissus, and we hope to see you there.